Greetings, my friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Real Talk Show with Dr. India White. I am so happy to be here among each of you tonight. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. I'm going to just make sure everybody's okay regarding social media. I hope you guys have had a good week. I know school has started. Students have been very busy with that, so we're taking that one day at a time. So now it's just a matter of preparing students for education, making sure that they're where they need to be. So I know all of us are doing our part, whether it's parenting or teaching, administrators, people that are teaching teachers, national education consultants, researchers, curriculum developers, whatever. We are all kind of in this situation, or if we're aunt or uncle or cousin or whatever we find ourselves to be in this role. Some of us are playing multiple roles, which is great. But I don't know. I wanted to kind of come on here and talk about the world of education, in particular in Florida, because there's so much going on. However, before I get started, I want to make some announcements with you guys. Thanks for joining. I know you guys are tuning in. So, first things first, the Real Talk Show with Dr. India White will be aired on the radio station Solnet WKDH every Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tune in to www.solnetwkdh.com to listen to the shows. There will be repeats of the show. The show has been going for about 2 years now. I'm thankful for the wonderful team that has just taken this beyond anything I could do on my own. And so I want to thank, Precious Swain. I want to thank Ken for what he has done as well for this opportunity. The Real Talk Show will be featured on Apple Tunes, and on Swain Girl Media Channel. Thank you to Precious Swain. You can see it on Fire Stick and things like that. So reach out to Precious if you need more information about the show. And if you want an opportunity to be on the show, send me a bio, at india.white.123@gmail.com with the photo, and we'll talk about how we can get you in. Another thing is, of course, I love it when you guys follow me on social media so we can kind of keep in touch. And some of you have reached out via email and things like that. So it's been great. And so I'm thankful. So please don't be a stranger. Let's connect. Let's get some things going together. And let's see what comes out of everything. So again, you can connect with me. My social media is the India White. For Facebook, and then for Twitter, it's Indie Speak and Teach. Now, if you're an education buff, or you are more educational regarding curriculum and things like that, you can also reach out on iWhiteBIL or Instagram. You can reach me at Indie238, and my YouTube is India White 123. And so, yeah, you can reach out to me that way, and we will just, we'll just continue to keep in touch and keep each other accountable. Now, on my website, I have many opportunities for you to buy books, courses. You can schedule me to speak. I know some people have reached out to me to appear on podcasts, radio shows, speaking events. And so I am definitely here for you to help you with your events as well. So not only am I thankful for you guys that have kind of, allowed yourselves to be a part of my tribe and helping myself and helping, the initiatives that we have, but also for those that have reached out to me and said, "Hey, India, let's get together, let's do some stuff." So I want to say thank you to all of you for that. Now, again, like I said, I want to talk to you guys today about education because there's so much taking place, especially in the state of Florida regarding education. We have teacher shortages, which has become a huge concern. And the thing that has brought this to my awareness as just as an educator, the work that I do, traveling, speaking to teachers, administrators, principals, superintendents, and hearing the different struggles the struggles of the budget of a school district, the struggles of teachers, and if they should go to school or not. And there are so many different concerns for teachers, not just, teacher pay, or not just um, the amount of respect teachers are desiring. There's so much more. Teachers go out of their way to really um, do their best they can for their kids. I myself, I've had great teachers that taught me, and as a result, I was able to kind of do my part and try to be a good teacher. I'm thankful because some students have come back, including a student that I had years ago. Uh, Today reached out to me tonight. I'm going to put his quote up there, Bradley Dees. And he said to me, he said, one of the greatest teachers I ever had. And so to me, that, guys, that pays off big time. Because sometimes, you send the babies on and then you're like, I wonder if I made a difference. Like, I wonder if I taught them right. And if, like, I mean, I know I taught them right, like the curriculum, but I wonder if I reached them as a person. I wonder if my life, had a significant impact for the good on them. I as a teacher, the last thing you want to do is to be a monster, or to be someone that is infamous, that was abusive, or just had issues. And then the students are talking about, you know, teachers and things like that. Hey, Alexander, how you doing, hon? Good to see you on the show. We're talking about teachers and things that really make the difference in the classroom. And so I'm thankful that you reached out to me, Bradley. Thank you. And all of my other students that I've been honored to teach, and not just myself, teachers across the nation know exactly what I'm saying. Across the globe, you get it. And you connect with kids. Sometimes that kid that comes in there and they're just a little bit rough around the edges, they don't really like you. They don't really like your subject, and they really want to get out of your class, or they're dealing with some type of anxiety. Like, I know I taught math, so students are dealing with test anxiety. Students are dealing with math anxiety. You present them a worksheet, and it's like you took them in a boxing ring and you just knocked them out. That they give you this look like, whoa, like what are you doing to my life? But you have to develop a relationship with students, developing a sense of trust, and then helping them to trust that your background knowledge as an educator, like, you have competence as an educator. And so that is a part that I also want to, talk about regarding teacher shortages, because what we're starting to see now, in particular in the state of Florida, yes, across the nation, but in particular with Florida, people are leaving the classroom by droves, and it's been tough to get teachers that are certified in the classroom. So now districts are just kind of scrapping and trying to figure out what they need to do. You've got, veterans are helping. You have so many different things going on. And so if you're a parent, pay attention to what's going on in your student's classroom, in your child's classroom. Ask questions when they get home. Figure out who their teachers are. Do they have subs, or really do they have teachers? Like, what is the situation there? How are the administration with your child? Are they fair? How are the administrators and the teachers together? Do they have good camaraderie? Is there great relationships there? Figure out these things to make sure that your child is in a safe place. If not, parents, do not be afraid to hold parent meetings or meetings with school board, whatever, to get your point across, to make sure that your child remains safe. Because the last thing you want to do is to take your child to a school environment and they're not being treated like adult or like humans. They're not being treated respectfully by the adults that you trusted with your child while you're out working, you're out doing whatever you're trying to do, while trusting the state and the education system with your child. So with that said, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the teacher shortages, and I want to pull up some things that I was able to find regarding teacher shortages. So bear with me as I get this. I'm going to share my screen and share with y'all what I was able to find. So I think it's pretty interesting and it's pretty scary um, at the same time what has taken place. So here, Bay County, I thought this is very interesting that 20 teachers resign in the first
School
week.
teachers have resigned just 1 week into the new school year. The
She's
district has
talking
been
about it.
struggling with employee shortages across the board. Prior to the school year, they hired dozens of new employees through a job fair. Some of the teacher recruits come from non-educational backgrounds and are trying to.
So do you hear that? So already they're saying that 20 teachers quit within the first week in Bay County. Can you imagine how many students now have long-term subs, no teacher, teachers that are covering other teachers' classes because that teacher is now out and they've got to get the curriculum covered. They have state. Now, listen, this is frustrating also because you have state testing with the fast testing and things like that. So not only are you trying to learn a whole new testing standard, you're trying to adopt new standards as well for curriculum. Then you're trying to supplement for teachers that just left, and then the teachers that remain, they already had a whole load of students, a whole caseload of classes and students that they're serving. So now imagine being a teacher in one of these schools. You have your own students that you were assigned. Okay, now you have to take up one of those teachers, maybe two of those teachers classes, right, that left. Then you have to deal with either a permanent sub or someone that they might not necessarily understand the curriculum. So you're having to do double, triple the work, no extra pay sometimes, longer hours. Now you're frustrated, and it messes up the school environment because maybe you had a good relationship with those teachers that left, and now you've got to try to trust again and build a rapport with these people. And then imagine administrators, and the administrators are stressed out. They're getting stuff coming from the district. They're trying to tell you what the deadlines are, and then you're just trying to create a lesson plan and help with other teachers. So it could just be really, really sticky. So let's keep watching.
To transition to the classroom through a certification program. Apparently, some of those departures were from
So
this
there was an
program.
education program, and some
leaders
teachers departed from the education program.
They are still confident people from the workforce can adjust to the classroom.
I would say ask a lot of questions. We are here to help you. We have a huge support group. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
I think that's nice that they're.
Bay District Schools started the new Foundations Academy program in July.
We have this situation here, teacher shortage in Bay County, and it's just a tough situation. However, life goes on, right? So even though there's teacher shortages, and we just saw that 20 Bay County teachers quit, what are the answers? What are leaders supposed to do to teach children? So some leaders have decided, they can pass laws, or some leaders have decided to reach out to other forces. So, for example, they've reached out to veteran teachers, and so it's pretty cool. So now we have veteran teachers veterans that have served our country can now be teachers, and all they have to have is 60 credit hours and a minimum of a 2.5 GPA. Now, this goes two ways. So the biggest question here is, should a veteran be able to teach a student if they did not go and major in education, and they didn't go and get their certifications, and they didn't have experience in the classroom with students, and they have not necessarily proven that they can relate to students, right? So there's a lot there regarding if this is going to be credible or not. Are they going to be able to meet the standards of helping students pass standardized tests like the FAST test that's going on in the state? There's a lot there. So there's a yes and a no and a maybe so that has been kind of floating around. And so let's see what trying to see what else people are saying, what else is going on. So I want to share another screen about these veteran teachers with you guys. So if you allow me. I will share this. Okay. Don't know if you can hear it, but I will do the. Hello? So this right here is showing National Guard troops in New Mexico are teaching.
I mean, I personally already had my certificates, which just kind of sped things along for me. But the other guardsmen, Air and Army, had to take classes and get certified, and then have briefs on.
So this is interesting. So he's talking about, okay, I had my certification, I was already on the route to that, but then some of his friends, not so much, right? Some of his friends, they weren't really trying to become teachers. They just kind of got selected and said, yeah, we'll do this. This is very interesting. I just want you to see something here. This goes two ways. Okay. You can honor the veteran, honor these amazing people that have served our country. Lord knows I love me someone that has served our country. Like, I don't know, hats off completely. However, put yourself in the mind of a student, and you're now being taught by a soldier or by a veteran of the United States. I think, for one, I don't think they're going to have a lot of discipline issues, because I think students are going to kind of be like, oh yeah, this is a soldier, I might want to chill out, right? Because it's a soldier. But imagine that extensive force of the presence of the military that it brings. I don't know about you, but when I see a soldier, I see many soldiers. There's a sense of honor, respect, and love and appreciation. But then there's that level of like, you better not cross him or her, like, because you might get messed up. Like, so I don't know. It's kind of like, it's good and bad, because it's good enough because it's great for our kids to see this. And another thing I thought about too was, imagine the students that do want to go into the Army, into military branches, Marine, Navy, whatever. Imagine our students that do. So then these veterans can go in and say, hey, yeah, I did it. This is my path. This is how I got there. This is fabulous, because this is on the ground, training, relationship kind of a thing that they can build. I think this is fabulous, especially for high school, for students that might be on the road of about, I don't know if I want to go and continue school, or if I want to do Army, military, whatever. This is fabulous for that. But then I'm thinking about students that might already have a fear of, adults, or I don't know. They might have made a couple wrong choices in their life, and I don't know. Would it cause anxiety? I don't know. I don't think so much. I personally think it's way more of a positive situation than a negative situation, regarding relationship building with students, classroom management, things like that. I think that would completely solve many of the issues. However, is it a great opportunity for the veterans? Yes, but are the veterans also going to be prepared for what they need to competently and properly teach and help our students? So, for instance, are they going to be able to help prepare a student for Algebra 1, exam, or I don't know, Calc 2 or Calc 1, or I'm in math, so I'm in the math thing. Okay, so these tests that these students have to take, students have to go to college and take certain tests. Yes, they're trying to get rid of the standardized test, the SAT and ACT, and they might eventually do that. But long story short, even if they do get rid of those tests, and those students are trying to major in engineering and software engineering, whatever, are those students going to be equipped if we continue in this route with this, with veterans teaching our students? Well, the only answer is we really have to make sure our veterans are equipped, so that they can equip our students. And so then I know that they said there's a teacher coach and things like that for students. So as long as they're able to implement that with fidelity, you should be able to see results, great results coming out of a program like this. It should take a couple years. However, there is also the question of, but what about the teachers, that went through, majored in school, took 4 years of education, took their certification test, and got certified to teach. And then they, take professional development throughout their years and they remain certified. There's a lot of questions about that. Like, well, what about that? And I think that there is a stance on that, but then think about certain situations of, what if it's kind of like opening up the door for multiple options to serve our children. It takes a village. So yes, we're not downing anything regarding educators and the struggles that educators go through, to get to where they need to be educators. But we are in a desperate situation. And so if that's what it's going to take to get our learners across with bodies in the room, adults in the room to serve them, then we're going to have to see if this is something that we can count on. If it's promising, then I think that they can incorporate these in particular in in schools where students are, more apt to enroll in, Army after school or community college, or they're wanting to go to a trade first and then go to college or whatever. I don't know. I think it would be great there, but I also think, I don't know. I just think it's kind of, you put the veterans where they're best fit and where they can make the most impact for students across the board. I just think that, I think it's kind of like case by case with the veteran, and each veteran is different, and each veteran, if you look, those veterans had to be discharged honorably, or they had, they had to have a clearing that was great, that spoke highly. I mean, wearing the uniform alone speaks highly. So it's something that we have to decide that we can trust, these phenomenal leaders in the classroom with our students. And I don't think that we would just approve any and everybody. So
you can't act Army with these kids. You can't speak the same way you would with another soldier with these kids. You can't treat them the same way. You have to be careful with corrective actions.
Yeah. So as you can see, this guy here was talking about like how he has to be careful with corrective actions, and, because this isn't the military. So if a kid starts disrespecting someone like him, he seems like he has a really sweet spirit. But if somebody tries to disrespect someone like him, how much tolerance is he going to have? So that's another thing that you can weigh in, is the veterans have to be trained on how to deal with the kiddos in a way that, will keep everybody happy and keep everybody.
Don't militarize the class.
I think at one point, including teachers absent for
So
testing,
here's a high school staff
professional
member.
leave, and illness, we had up to 30 out several days, and that's a third of our staff, our teaching staff.
Did you hear that? She just said that they had over 30 teachers out, and that was over a third of their teaching staff. What are you going to do when 1/3 of your teachers are out and you have all those students that still came to class? I don't know if you're going to have enough subs in the area to even fill all of that work. So, and then with everything going on with the schools and safety issues and things, people aren't apt to always go in and do subbing. People aren't like, oh yeah, I'll take that, because they're probably concerned about their own well-being. So I think they're doing what they need to do. So yeah, so there's that. I'm thankful that we are trying to step in the right direction to give, and I think this is beautiful. Even seeing this guy take his time, work with this young lady and helping her. I mean, this to me, it's great to see that he's also paying it forward. These people are paying it forward to society in this role. And it's very honorable. And I think it's beautiful too, because it connects the military with civility, so that it's not so much us versus them. And I'm not saying it is that, but it's kind of like, because like, for example, I've never served. So for me, it's like there's so many questions and so many things, but I can imagine a student, you know, being impacted by someone like this. They're going to have a more cohesion and more closeness with the military, and really respecting and valuing, you know, our country so much more, and those that have served our country. So that's my opinion about that. That I just think it's a good thing. It's, to me, it's a good vibe. To the teachers that have, you know, done it their way and been hardcore, continue to rock on. You know, don't ever think it takes from your merit or takes from the hard work that you've done. Just know that this is a situation that we kind of had to turn to because our kids need it. Our kids need bodies in the room. They need adults that care, that can be trusted. And so I think this is a beautiful thing. All right. Now, let's talk more about what has been going on regarding just other issues in general, regarding public schools and things and teacher shortages. So I did some digging. U.S. News told me that of public schools, 49% reported having at least one non-teaching staff vacancy. Custodial staff, that's a whole nother area. Okay. They're identified as the staff position with the most vacancies, with 28% of schools reporting that as a vacancy. Okay. And this was this year that this was gathered, this information. So this is some serious chronic, issues that are taking place. And I'm thinking that the numbers, unfortunately, are increasing. So many people, you know, kind of step over custodial staff as if they're irrelevant to education. But to be honest, they're some of the most important people, because if you don't have a clean, you try to run a school for a week without the trash being taken out, without, you know, so many different things, taking the lights being switched out, and, you know, the microwaves being fixed, the toilets being fixed, the bathrooms being, you know, sanitized. If you didn't have custodial staff, your schools would depopulate because people would not want to be in an unsafe or unsanitized situation. So custodial staff are just right up there with administration, to be honest, because, you know, without them, there's no way that you could run a school. Period. There's no way. And I think they deserve more pay, and I think they deserve more respect, you know, because of what they do for our kiddos. They take so much emotionally too. And they're wonderful, beautiful people. I learned some of my most valuable lesson. One of them I learned from a lady that was a beautiful custodial staff when I was teaching in a different district, and she just was so beautiful. And she would talk about how, you know, she would always be blessed from her troubles. She would say something like, God will give me double for my trouble and triple for my trials. She would always say that. And she just had the best attitude, you know, and she never complained. She always smiled. Sometimes I think she was saying, she just had the best advice for me. And I was this young 20-year-old something, you know, I was just trying to figure out life. And she was so beautiful. She just lit up the room. And I'll never forget her. She was so beautiful. I'm thankful for people like her. So, but yeah, so I do feel like people that, you know, help serve our kiddos in that way deserve the best. So now, another thing is I want to talk about some other issues that are taking place within the state of Florida, and just some a sad situation. Let me get it up for you guys. So there's a teacher that I guess she was doing her thing and then decided to just kind of start her own business. I think this is my tab. Give me a minute, because I don't want to post the wrong thing. So she was teaching in the area and then just decided, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to open up a business. So this lady here I'm sharing with you guys.
So to friends, family, word of mouth. It's obviously not a very big thing because I work full time, but it's just a fun hobby.
Her hobby helped her through a really tough time this past summer.
Something to keep me busy while I was job searching and feel a little bit more like I had a purpose, while job searching can be a little bit stressful and feel like daunting. So it gave me a purpose.
Previously, Leah found her purpose in the classroom as a teacher.
To leave teaching was one of the hardest decisions that I've made personally, because I truly love teaching. I love being with the kids. I loved all the parts of teaching.
But after returning to school post-pandemic, she says a lot changed.
The hours I was putting in and the amount of emotional work that it took to be a teacher, I was not being compensated appropriate.
Wow. Did you hear that? So the amount of time and the amount of emotional work. I wish every administrator could hear this, because teachers, they go above and beyond. And administrators know this. Many administrators have been teachers, so they get it. But just hearing her and seeing the look in her eye, she's very serious. And you could tell she's disappointed, because you can tell she wanted to stay, I think. I think she did. You could see it on her face. Just, she was in a tough situation. Let's keep watching her.
I was getting compensated the same way someone who wasn't putting as much work in was. There's no growth there.
Eventually, Leah found this new job.
It's my new classroom, my new learning space.
She now works from home for a global consulting firm on their learning development team. And while it is different,
and even though that's good, how many babies could she be impacting right now with her presence and with her joy and her spirit? She's got a good spirit, but, I don't know. Unfortunately, this is her situation.
Different.
Working from home is definitely an adjustment, but I do enjoy it. I enjoy the flexibility in my schedule.
Leah says she doesn't regret her decision to leave the classroom.
I think that when teachers leave the classroom, the first thing that's asked is, well, why? You're so good at this, or why are you leaving the kids? And it's not about that. It's about wanting something else, something different, something more for some people. And we shouldn't be treating teachers like it's this anomaly to leave.
In her new job, she says she's compensated fairly.
That's interesting. So, like an anomaly to leave, there shouldn't be a condemnation when teachers leave, but there should be more of an openness and an understanding that they had to do what they had to do. And each case is different. Some teachers are dealing with, starting a family. Some teachers are dealing with just a transition. Maybe they're following a spouse somewhere. Maybe emotionally they had to take care of themselves first. They couldn't do it, or mentally they couldn't deal with mind games and stuff. So they were done. I think one thing that can also help with teacher retention is their development of relationship building with administrators and district staff, so that they actually trust those that they're working for. Because sometimes teachers can feel like they're either walking on eggshells, or like they're being blindsided, or they're not seeing the whole situation. So sometimes they go to work and they go there in anxiety and fear, and they leave in anxiety and fear. And they feel like they can't trust their administrators. I do want to shout out, I had some phenomenal administrators, in Tampa. I'm thankful for my principal that, helps me. So I had 2 phenomenal principals. Well, 3, but, Mr. Hirschlip, before he retired in Alachua, Mr. Ferguson in Alachua, and then Mr. Morrill in Hillsborough were phenomenal. And I call their names out in great honor, because they developed a beautiful, fair, positive relationship, giving me opportunity, teaching me. I remember I was teaching so long when I first started teaching, and I would stay in the class till 8 p.m. doing lesson plans. Listen, you have teachers doing this everywhere, all over the nation. We have teachers doing this, and they're not paid extra. They're not. But the thing is, it's because they're passionate and they want everything right that next day. So they're doing all this. I remembered I was planning till 8 p.m. And Mr. Herschel just came in my room and turned on the light because the light was on or the light was off. I think the light was off or on. I don't remember, but I think he turned it off, and he just said, "Miss White, it's time to go home. Go home." And I was like, "But I've got one more thing." He said, "Go home." And he was teaching me, the power of time management. That even though yes, you're passionate, yes, you're good, time management because you matter. No, I didn't have kids at the time, but he was still telling me you matter more than just, making sure you laminated that last thing or making sure you graded that other assignment. Like balance yourself out. Sometimes teachers need that. They need that compassion from their leaders. They need to know that they can trust their leaders. They need to have a place of safety where they can go and they can vent and they can have an outlet and not feel like they're being, documented and traced and set up for failure, set up to be caught. They need a place that they can go where they feel safe and they feel like they can build a sense of success, a sense of community, a sense of safety within themselves. And there's nothing more, I guess, for teachers. It's just tough, when they don't have leaders that they can trust. It's just different. You're not going to be able to get 100% from them. You might get 80% because in the back of their mind, they're starting to think like, yeah, I love the kids. Yeah, I'm good at what I do, but there's some stuff going on, and that's a sad place. So I think administrators, principal leaders, district leaders, whatever, I think that could be something that, can be discussed and brought up, at various meetings. How do we get our teachers to trust us? Do we have to, report or document when they're 32 seconds late? Do we have to give them, a hard time over just the most frivolous things? Because it's like, I mean, if you're trying to have retention, you got to build trust and they have to like you. If your teachers don't like you, they're not going to stay. They could be phenomenal, but I think that's one thing. Teacher retention is, developing relationships where teachers like each other and teachers like their administrators and their leaders. They'll stay. Even if there's, situations with budgeting, how are we communicating? How are we doing things for our teachers to make our teachers feel like they can still win, even with this situation? Because I know this, if you have a phenomenal leader, unless it's like a purposeful thing, if you have a phenomenal leader that believes in you and you develop a great relationship with them and you trust them and you know that they're not, that they've got your back, you're not going anywhere. You're going to stick around. You will be loyal because you appreciate how they have valued you and you want to make it up to them. You want to help them build something great. When you believe in a leader and you want them to stand, you will work and cultivate, excellent things, and help, in the classroom. So I don't know. I think this lady, she's going to go on and do some great things for herself and for her cake business, her bakery. But, man, I would love to see her in like a K-12 atmosphere and see how she would be able to rock out a classroom helping students. So just
Fairleigh
interesting.
has opportunities for growth and more time to spend here in her happy place. In Hillsborough County, I'm Fallon Silcox, Spectrum News.
Okay, so there's that. Now, so now I want to talk more about just some other things in general when it comes down to, I guess, what we need to do to continue to help our schools and to help learners just in general, helping students. And sometimes it's just first impressions. Sometimes it's what they're saying and what they're hearing versus what they're reading and versus, and that can make the world of a difference. Even if that's there's so many things that we can talk about here. I don't even know where to start. But one thing we can do, and I'll flip back on my parent / teacher parent hat, I guess. When we are parents, one way that we can help with teachers and is doing our best to make sure that our children, when we bring them to school, we're bringing them to school in the best condition that we have in our control. Whenever my children leave my home, I make sure that my children are presentable. I try to teach them manners, respect. I call them out if there's any disrespect, because we have standards. We have, I don't know, we have values. We have a value system. And sometimes, even with teachers, teachers are receiving some students, and sometimes when they're receiving students, the students aren't necessarily going to be the friendliest. Sometimes the students are going to have strong opinions that might even go against what that teacher was, used to. So that could cause some conflict. That can put a rift in relationships. There might be some cultural differences. There's so many different things that are going on here. But one thing we as parents can do is to help with how we have our children come to school, how they're presented. I looked at some things here. This lady here, Michelle Lando, she was talking about image and branding and things like that. And she said that people can remember, listen to this, 65% of what they visually see and only 10% of what they read. Can you imagine that? Only 60 or only 10% of what you read, but 65% of what they see. So imagine if a child comes to class and their attitude might not be the best. They might not be, they might not appear as if they're wanting to be there, or they're, I don't know. There's just so many things. I love the kiddos. I just think they're all great, but sometimes the kiddos can come across as maybe just either not interested or completely unplugged. Maybe, I don't know. There's just so many different things. And that can also affect a teacher and in the way that teacher receives that student. So parents, we can do our part. I know, like I said, I do my best to try to make sure that, my children are presentable, and that they are doing their best in their classrooms, and that they're behaving, and that they're not a problem child, like what people say, but that they are examples, they're role models. And one thing I do, parents, is I always try to remind my children of their goals. You want to go to Harvard, you want to go to Spelman, you want to do this, you want to do that. Like I'm always trying to remind them of who they are going to become. You're going to be a software engineer, you're going to be a business owner, you're going to do this, like, because I need them to see themselves in that light so that they are going to conduct themselves in that way. And I think that sometimes there's a disconnect there with certain students where they don't see themselves in any light. So they don't know how to necessarily conduct themselves. But I think that's where we can help teachers in maybe having some, whether it's parent conferences or some times where we communicate with parents and let them know, where we are, as educators, and our goals for their child, and how they can help, us reach those goals and helping our children or helping their children. So I digress on that, but I just found this very interesting. So, and not just this, it's just in general, in education, whether it's for educators or whatever. So question, how are we presenting ourselves on paper, resumes, or the way we speak, physically, visibly, because it talks about how visibility and imagery matters. I mean, think about it. I mean, if 65% of what people get is visual, I guess it matters. So, it's kind of one of those things, like something to think about, something to keep in mind. And, whether it's a teacher in the classroom, these are some questions that they can consider. If it's a leader, an administrator, these are some questions to consider. How are our facial expressions? How is our tone of voice? That's an area of focus for many of us, tone of voice. Do we talk in a mundane, or do we actually like light up a room when we talk? Or, are we intentionally lowering our voice with people that we don't care too much for? Or like, what are we doing? So these are some questions that we can definitely, kind of consider when looking at everything. But so this is, to me, this has just been very interesting, that, these things are taking place in the state of Florida. And so I just think that, the best thing that we can do is to continue to remember that at the center of all of this are the children. It's not about the adults, it's about the children. But at the same time, we need to also make sure that we're treating our adults like gold, like platinum. Like, adults should not feel, educators, should not feel there's just this, they should not feel like they're less than. They should not feel like they're undervalued, they're not appreciated, like they're just easily just recyclable. Like, they should feel like they went to school and got a degree in something that they loved and something that was a bit difficult. I know so many people are like, oh, teaching, there's not much to it. Well, you go sit in a classroom for 3 weeks. You sit in a classroom for 3 weeks and see how that works. And it's like, if you've never been in a classroom, you'll understand. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And so I don't know if you guys have any comments, feel free to comment or whatever. But yeah, I just think that it's just something that, we have to consider, is who is also helping and advocating the teachers that are already in the classroom, the teachers that really care and they've been in there 5+ years and they're cranking out lesson plans, and yet they're going to school dealing with anxieties and fears, and maybe their budget is a little bit off, and they're dealing with so much, and then now they're dealing with all of the different standards and so many different things that have changed, and yet they're still trying to manage the same situations they had years before, plus more things that are required of them, and all these drastic transitions that have taken place, in particular in the state of Florida. There's a lot to consider for those teachers. I know they talked about how certain subject areas, there's a huge vacancy that's taking place because certain teachers don't want to deal with the backlash of the what if. And so because of that, it's been hard to fill that. And then of course, substitutes don't want to go in and do it either, because they surely don't want to deal with it. And so how do we move forward? How do we move forward? Feel free to comment. How do we move forward with this? How do we move forward with teachers? How do we move forward with students? What are we going to do? I think, for one, I want to say this too, for educators that have been promoted to administration and that have been promoted to teaching or to principalship and promoted to whatever, like you're just rocking it out. You've been promoted because there is a responsibility on your shoulders to help cultivate the leader within your teachers. If you are in a position of leadership and you are not cultivating, but you are trying to use your power in a way that is not best fit for those teachers, you should definitely reflect on what you're doing and have a wake-up call within yourself and say, why would I use my power and my position to want either hurt someone or to degrade someone, dehumanize someone, or make someone feel like they're less of what they came to us as? It's so funny because if you're a leader, I think a goal should be that the person that you interviewed should be the person that you're striving to keep on your team. That bright, bubbly person that you laughed with, heard great ideas, right? That should be the same thing that you're striving to protect within that person when they're on your campus, if you're a leader. And true leaders will know they're true leaders because they'll be able to do that. And you'll see it because when you hear over and over again, oh, I've been at the school 20 years. I've been at the school 18 years. I've been at the school 12 years. And there's a long-term teacher retention under that same leader. That's because the leader is great. The leader is doing something right. But if you see that there's a lot of turnover, and if you're a leader and you're having a lot of turnover and you're like, why can't I seem to keep great teachers or great leaders? Why can't I? Well, you got to start looking and seeing, can they trust you? What's going on? Is it the rumor mill? Is it like what's taking place? How can we help, cultivate an environment of safety for our educators as well? Educators are doing so much. They wake up early, they're on the road by 6:30ish, they're off the road by maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock every day for the kids because the kids deserve it. But then they are dealing with emotional distress sometimes. And sometimes they're dealing with mental distress and they're overwhelmed and they're not supported in the classroom. And so I don't know. There's just a lot that we can talk about here. But at the end of the day, I think if we all just strive to just flow in a vein of love and in a vein of just self-respect and in a vein of empathy towards each other and like saying, hey, I might not be able to relate to what they're saying, but that doesn't mean it's not true. Maybe there is some truth in that. And maybe I need to let them own their truth and hear their truth and let them speak their truth without them being punished for telling me their truth. So maybe I need to, as a leader, just take a step back and say, okay, how can I support this person? That's an educator, principal, leader, I don't know. How can I support them in my role? And then how can I support kiddos? How can I support those students? Well, if you have a great relationship with teachers and the teachers have a great relationship with the kiddos, and then everybody has great relationships there, great above board relationships that are healthy and everybody's helping everyone move forward, there's those problems on your campus will dwindle quickly. They will dwindle quickly. So that's my 2 cents with all that. I just wish every educator the best across the state and across the nation. Remember, our focus as educators in whatever vein we're in, our focus is to serve students. Our focus is to love the babies in whatever vein that I feel the Almighty has placed us in. That is our focus. It's nothing else. It's not political. It's nothing else. It's about the kids. And I feel like, you don't have to really jockey for anything. If you're qualified and competent and you're called to do something, those doors will open for you. So just keep a good spirit and continue to do right by people, and just, I don't know, treat them the way you want to be treated. And if you don't necessarily, jive with someone, you don't vibe with them, that doesn't mean that you have to intentionally go after them to hurt them. Just take a break or, do some self-reflection and say, what is it about that person that, I'm having an issue with, and how can I get over that? How can I get that out of my spirit? What is wrong with me? Is it me, or is it something I heard, or whatever? And if it's something you heard, sometimes you got to put what you heard on the back burner and give them a fair shot, and then judge from that. But if it's something they did to you, well, then maybe you can, kind of approach them and see if there can be some type of resolution. And then if not, then, just do your best to remain kind and then just, try to work through it through your interactions. But never try to lower yourself, to hurting people intentionally because of disagreements or because you just can't figure out why you don't like them and things like that. So with that said, guys, I appreciate you so much for tuning into the show. Please make sure that you continue to follow me on social media. I'm so thankful for all of you guys for tuning in. Again, my social media channels is Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. Twitter is Indy Speak and Teach. Instagram is Indy238. And YouTube is India White 123. Again, the Real Talk Show will be aired on SoulNet WKDH every Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tune into www.soulnetwkdh.com to listen. Also, if you want to be featured on the show, send me an email at india.white.123@gmail.com. Again, the Real Talk Show will be featured on Swain Girl Media Channel, which is hosted by Precious Swain, and you can hear it on Apple Tunes. Okay, please visit my website when you get a chance also, and let's see what we can do together. So you can visit www.india-white.com. I appreciate those that have been reaching out for an event or whatever else that you're interested in that I can support in the given areas. And then, of course, yes, I do. The next event, one of the next events is TEDx Ocala. Make sure that you visit TEDxOcala.com for more information on that. There are many speakers that will be featured here. I'm thankful to be slotted as well. But, go there and check out the list of speakers and the people that will be there, because it's going to be, I'm sure it would be a packed house. It would be a great event. And I'm just thankful to be among these phenomenal people. And thank you for the tribe that has supported me and in these endeavors. There's no way I could have done this by myself. No way at all. I'm just thankful. And I think that coming to this event would be great. Lots to learn from phenomenal speakers. I'm really interested in hearing from some of these phenomenal people on the team. So, like I said earlier, guys, please feel free to follow me. You've got my social media channels. You have my website and things like that. So don't be a stranger. And oh yeah, my daughter made volleyball team, so I'm very happy for her. So I'll be playing the role of mom in this season as I'm watching her play her games. My son is in chorus class singing away, so they have stayed busy. And I'm thankful, and I'm looking forward to some games, some volleyball games, and some chorus concerts. So with that said, if I there might be some transitions to the show where I will play many replays for us that are phenomenal, as I'm also doing my best to support my babies as a mom first over everything else. So with that said, guys, have a wonderful night. Thanks so much again for tuning in to the Real Talk Show. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.